Hey kids, it's Mr. Fly here, hope you're well, and welcome back to another bike news, this time for July 2020. There's already absolutely shot by. Where is the year going? I do not know. Anyway, another 4 copies of MCN to take you through, so if you're interested in what's been going on in the world of motorcycles here in the UK for July 2020, stick around and stay tuned. Alrighty, so I'm going to go through the papers as usual, and I'm going to bring back Parish Notices as well at the end of the video. A few of you asked me what happened to Parish Notices, so some news at the end if you're interested about what's coming up on the channel and some bits and pieces I wanted to tell you, so do stick around for that. Oh, and the other thing is, I've got a bit of a low battery, so I might even talk even faster than usual to get through this one. Alright, let's crack on then without further ado. The first paper then, and the first story that I've picked out here. Tenere Rally ready to rock is the headline here. This is the new Yamaha Tenere 700. They brought out a rally edition, and I rode the standard T700 a while back, and I thought it was a great bike, and it's had rave reviews. What I like about it is its simplicity. It turns out it's actually the best-selling mid-range off-road bike at the moment. So you know, that says something about having a bike that's a little bit more simple. If you've been following the channel, I've been riding the Tiger 900 a lot of late, and my sort of conclusion at the end of those sets of reviews that actually a bike like that without all the electronics is the way I would like to go. And of course the Tenere 700 does tick that box, and you can of course get a Triumph 900 Tiger that's the basic version. I think that would be the one I go for. I've come to the conclusion that basic bikes actually are the way to go for. As long as they're comfortable, they ride nicely, they handle well, the engine sounds good and goes well. Those are the things that really count about motorcycles, not the electronics, in my view. Anyway, back to the Tenere 700. Reason why I pulled this one out is because they've come up with this special edition, and it's £1,000 more than the standard bike being 9,147 and this one being 10,299. But let me read you some of the highlights of it. I think it's well worth the money here. So Yamaha have unleashed a Tenere 700 Rally Edition, the best-selling middleweight adventure bike in Europe is what it's been, the standard model. It's been uprated, more off-road oriented, with special blue and yellow livery complete with the black speed blocks that we know and love from Yamaha. The Rally Edition gets improved off-road protection and rally style extras such as new heavy-duty bash plate, black aluminium radiator guard, laser cut aluminium chain guards, one-piece rally seat, Akrapovic silencer, it's probably worth £1,000 in itself, compact LED indicators, that's always a good add, rubber knee grip pads on the tank, okay, off-road style handlebar grips, okay, but you know, for all that stuff plus the extra bits and pieces, and not least the speed block paintwork, that's got to be worth £1,000, isn't it? So anyway, so if you're interested in a Tenere 700, look out for one of them. It says here that it should be in the UK dealers actually the middle of this month, so it should be out there now. This is the first paper obviously that came out about a month ago, so this is slightly behind the curve, but yeah, looks good. That looks good. You know, a nice bike being made better. Who's not liking that stuff? Right here, a little article just down the corner here. Enfield Upgrade is the title. Just point this out because if you're a fan and an owner of a Royal Enfield 650 Twin, as I am, I've got the Interceptor, I love that bike, you'll know that if you push those bikes hard, the back end can get a little bit out of shape in terms of the suspension. Well, I'm glad to say K-Tech have come up with some new cartridges for the Interceptor and the GT. You can get them, they're £594, so that's quite a lot of money. That's like 10% of the value of the bike. But it will, or you can get some top of the range Razor piggyback rear shocks for nearly £1,000. Maybe that's a bit much to spend on the bike. Nonetheless, it should sort out that wibbly wobbly rear end when you're pushing on. Having said all that, I ride my Interceptor slowly, chugging along around the lanes. It's not the sort of bike that I do pushing on. If I want to do that, I ride one of my other bikes. But nonetheless, if you find the Enfield, the standard suspension, annoying, that's one way to get around that from K-Tech. So just thought I'd point that out as we're going through. All right, next story here. Oh yeah, just a bit of make you aware. You know about that MOT holiday that we were given here in the UK because of coronavirus? And if you're not in the UK, our MOT stands for Ministry of Transport, a ministry of the government that has long since been defunct. It's not called that anymore. It's now the Department of Transport, actually. Slight change. But anyway, we have this thing called an MOT test we have to do every year to make sure that all our vehicles on the road are roadworthy. Well, during coronavirus, you couldn't get to a testing station to get that done because they were closed. So they gave us an extension, but that extension is now over as we've brought coronavirus to some degree of control here in Europe. So what the government is saying is, or what they've confirmed, is that any vehicle with an MOT falling due on or after August the 1st, 2020 must book an MOT as usual. So if your MOT is now due, or after August the 1st rather, go and book yourself an MOT as usual. The extension remains in place for any vehicle whose MOT expiry date fell between March the 31st and July the 31st. So if your MOT was between the end of March and the end of July, you get that extension until November. But that's that then. So just to let you know, in case your bike is due an MOT from the 1st of August onwards, you need to get it done. Okay, next up, a new bike here, some renders that I like the look of, and as soon as I saw the look of these, I thought to myself, that looks just like a CCM. Then I read about it, and you'll see why it looks just like a CCM. So this here is a new 250cc two-stroke, and I mean, that sounds absolutely amazing, doesn't it? But there is a bit of an elephant in the room, which I'll come to in a minute. So this is the all-new British-built 250cc stroker being created by, and this is the bit, CCM's ex-chief design engineer, Chris Ratcliffe. That's why it looks like a CCM, because it's designed by the same bloke. He has formed a new company called Langen Motorcycles that have come up with this bike. They've teamed up with an Italian company to produce the engine. The engine is a 90-degree V-twin developed by, as I say, Italian company called Vins or Van Motors. Looks really nice, the V-twin. I imagine that'll give it a nice character. One of the things I didn't like about the CCMs was that they are single-cylinder bikes, so it's therefore very lumpy. This one hopefully will be a little bit smoother, but it is a two-stroke, so it's a completely different character of bike anyway. It'll have around 80 brake horsepower, and in two-stroke terms that relates to something more like about 130 in four-stroke terms, and it weighs a maximum of 115 kilograms, so super light with a lot of power, so it's going to go like stink. Says here, most importantly, it will sound and smell amazing, which I have no doubt. So, and it looks amazing. So on the surface of it, absolutely brilliant. Here comes the elephant in the room. How much do you think it's going to cost? £30,000 is what it's going to cost. 30 grand for a two-stroke 250. Well, good luck selling that, Langen. I'm sure there will be people that buy it. There'll be some rich collectors out there that buy them, that then sadly probably won't ride them, I don't know. But wow, that's a lot of money for a motorcycle, isn't it, for a 250cc two-stroke? But lovely thing, glad it exists. Will it sell? We'll see. Will it even be made? I don't know. We'll find out. All right, next story. Adventure Light, a welcome antidote to 260 kilogram behemoths for globetrotting antics, it says here. And this is one of those comparative tests that MCN do on the MCN 250, pitting the KTM 790 Adventure R against the Triumph Tiger 900 Rally Pro. Now, I've ridden both of these bikes, not in this trim level. I rode the GT for the Tiger 900, and I think I rode the standard 790 Adventure, or was it the Adventure R? Can't remember. Anyway, both bikes I can confirm are beautiful machines. I really like them both. I do prefer the Triumph personally. I'm a Triumph fanboy, as you may know. But I actually think the Tiger 900 is a really good bike, although I haven't ridden the slightly, as I say, more off-road focused Rally Pro, but hopefully I'll put that right at some point in the future. Anyway, which one wins in the MCN contest? Let's see what they've said. So which is the best option, says John Urry, the MCN reporter here. Well, if you're a member of the TRF and love weekends away in the wilderness and generally want to explore rugged terrain, buy the KTM. But if your focus is more on the roadside of adventure riding, the classy and more refined Triumph is the better bet for you. And actually, just having read that, I completely agree. Based on the riding I've done of both the other types of these bikes, if you follow, I agree. I just think the Tiger is a fantastic road bike. But we'll see about the off-road version. There's no doubt KTM have got off-road in their DNA. I didn't dare take the Adventure R off-road, for which I got quite a lot of criticism because it wasn't my bike. I didn't want to drop it. But they've done great things on the KTM because they've put the fuel is held very low down in a sort of an extended fuel tank that sits underneath the engine. It means the weight's very low, so I suspect that makes it very great to handle off-road. The Tiger 900 didn't feel particularly top-heavy, but I can completely get why the KTM would be better off-road. But as a bike to live with day to day, I'd definitely take the Tiger 900. I really love that bike. It's an excellent bit of kit. If you're in the market for a mid-range adventure bike, do check out the new Tenere 700, but do yourself a favour and have a go on the Tiger 900 as well. And no, Triumph do not sponsor me or give me money to say nice things about them. I wish they did. Anyway, one more story before I have a swig of me coffee. Oh yeah, not a story actually. I thought, occasionally as I flick through MCN, you get to the ads at the end, the classifieds, and you can't help but have a look and think, oh, what would I buy if I were buying a bike? So there's a couple here that I just sort of pull out that I thought were bargains. First of all, down here, a Sprint ST1050, a bike. This is again a Triumph. It has a special place in my heart because it's the bike that got me back into biking, really. I saw a guy with one of these about 12 years ago on a campsite I was staying at with my wife and kids. He had a brand new one of these with white wheels, red with white wheels. It looked awesome. I thought, I've got to get me one of them. Anyway, here we are. It's a 2008 model here, 34,000 miles, so quite a high mileage, but it's 2,500 £2,500. That's a lot of bike for the money, isn't it? So that's one bike I'd like to have a look at out of MCN's classifieds. £2,500 for a Sprint ST from 2008. Then the other one over here, bit off the wall, a Thunderbird 1700 LT. Again, another Tramp. Sorry to be so Tramp-centric on these, but this 12,800 miles, so not a big mile bike by any means, and it's £8,500. It's a 2014, so it's not even that old. It's only 6 years old, but my word, it's a behemoth. It's a massive bike. I love the Thunderbird when I rode my mate Steve's on one of my meet. What do I used to call those now? You know the things when I used to do that series when I used to ride. Readers Rides, that's what I called it. Must do some more of those, they were good. Anyway, Steve brought around his Thunderbird Storm and I really loved it. But here you go, you can get a Thunderbird LT, which is a sort of touring version. 12,800 miles for 8,500 quid. I dare say these bikes have now been sold, so if you want them, probably too late. But anyway, there we go. Those are two bikes that I would be very keen to look at if I were in the market for a new machine. Okay, moving on to the second paper for this month's review then. And the first story here. Great deals on wheels. Now we were talking just now about KTM. MCN is reporting that there's some particularly good offers that KTM are currently offering, possibly to get rid of old stock. I don't know. It might be might be related to coronavirus. Who knows? But anyway, what they're saying is a wave of new manufacturer incentives, including up to £2,400 off flagship KTMs, is helping fuel a boom in bike sales following the easing of lockdown, say dealers. So summer power deals, what KTM would call them, they put £2,400 off the KTM 1290 Adventure S. That's a lot of money off that bike. It's a lovely bike. I wonder if there's a new version coming out and they're trying to get rid of old stock, maybe. £1,500 off the 790 Duke. Not just KTM at it, but Harley Davidson too. Apparently they've announced £1,500 deposit contribution to PCP sales. So if you're going down that route, 1,500 quid from Harley Davidson, thank you very much. Honda's Back to Work campaign sees £1,000 off the new Africa Twin, good stuff. And £500 off the CB500 family. So now is a great time to buy a bike. And from talking to various people in the industry over the last month, it does seem there's been quite a sales boom during lockdown, which is quite surprising, isn't it? But there we go, maybe people are thinking about what they want to do once they can get back out on the bike again. But a good time to buy because there are those deals to be had, so go check them out, particularly if you're a KTM fan. Next up here, just in passing, this is a bit of a scary campaign, but I want to draw attention to it because I think it's a great thing. It's from this, what looks like a company called Bikertech. Now you see these big full page ads in MCN, and also MCN are doing some videos on their YouTube channel with Michael Neves at the moment. I don't know if you've seen them. They're well worth watching. I'm a huge fan of Michael Neves, as I've said before. And they've done this set of videos kind of sponsored by these, I guess, I'm not sure. Anyway, the idea is it's supposed to look like a bike company, but actually it's Highways England doing a safety campaign, and the parts that they're pushing here, the titanium parts, are actually parts that are fitted to motorcyclists when they come off their bike and break bones. So they're things, you know, for basically for rebuilding broken bones. Anyway, so it's a bit scary when you look into it, but it's very clever how they've done it. I'll just mention it in passing because you might want to check them out. Go to the website. It says here, visit us at bikertechshop.co.uk. I haven't been to the website, but I guess that talks all about the campaign. They're not actually trying to sell you anything. But so if you see Bikertech around and you wonder what that's about, that's what that's all about. It's a campaign by Highways England, which, you know, thumbs up to them for doing that. Right, next up, slight change. Social distance by radar. Very clever headline there, MCN. Like what you've done there, Ben Clark. Okay, so BMW have joined the growing list of bike manufacturers working to release a radar-guided cruise control function. This is following Ducati doing the same thing and KTM also doing it. BMW are calling it active cruise control. You might have seen this before. Some cars have it. It's the sort of thing where you set your cruise control. There's a radar detector. It sees how far the vehicle in front is and it maintains your distance from them regardless of them slowing down or up. So you don't have to keep changing your cruise control setting. Brilliant. Really, really handy in a car, I have to say. On a bike, I'm a big fan of cruise control because it's particularly if you're in a speed limited area or if you're just on a boring motorway, then cruise control is lovely. All that said, I'm not necessarily a huge fan of lots of technology on motorcycles because it can go wrong. But the big point about this is they're saying it's going to be a £500 option. Well, expect to pay around 500. We don't actually know what the price is going to be yet. But would you pay 500 quid for this distance measuring equipment to go on your bike? I'm not sure. It might be great in a car if it comes with the car anyway, but paying an extra 500 quid for a bike, that's a big chunk of cash just for that one feature. As much as I love cruise control, as I've just said, I'm not sure I want 500 quid to add an extra feature to a feature that I don't use that often anyway. Although when I do, it is handy. Anyway, what do you think about that? I'm on a bit of a roll at the moment about having a thing about electronics on bikes. I know I'm a dinosaur. I'm basically old school. I just think motorcycling is a bit more about, you know, riding, enjoying the visceral feel of the motorcycle, the mechanics, not about the electronics that are on there. Maybe top end luxury bikes, which presumably is what this is aimed at, it's a good thing, but I ain't going to be going off to buy a motorcycle just because it's got distance measuring radar on it. Might do it for an aeroplane, but it's a little bit different then. Okay, next story here. Versatile value. So we looked at the in the last MCN, we looked at the 250 mile road test of the Tiger 900 versus the KTM 790 adventure. Now they've gone not down market but towards the more budget end. They're looking at the Yamaha Tracer 900 versus the new V-Strom 1050 from Suzuki. I have ridden the Tracer 900 GT. Lovely bike. Haven't ridden the V-Strom 1050, or in its current guise. I rode the old one, and I did like that. I thought it was a lovely bike, actually. Great engine, proper. And again, this is an example of a proper, honest motorcycle. There's nothing on the V-Strom that you don't need. It's just a good, solid motorcycle. It feels like quality. All that said, this new version, the V-Strom 1050 for this year, they put the new headlight and front end on it. I think it's a step back. I've read lots of reviews and seen lots of chat about this, saying that it looks great now, but I honestly think I preferred the old bike. So I'll be really interested to see if you agree or disagree. It's just a matter of personal taste. I'm sure Suzuki did lots of testing to see who preferred the new bike over the old, and this one won. But for me, I prefer the looks of the old bike. The Tracer 900 GT is a great bike as well. Let's see what verdicts they came up with. Here we go. So this is Martin Fitzgibbons, who's done the review, and he said that the V-Strom 1050 is a straightforward, easygoing and simple bike, which I completely agree with. The Tracer is a heap more fun, far more engaging and way more exciting. Wow. Yamaha's Tracer 900 GT might be a little bit more money than Suzuki's V-Strom 1050, but it's a lot more rewarding to ride. So he absolutely raves about the 900 GT, not so much about the V-Strom. Yet they both get 4 stars out of 5. I always have a problem with MCN's star rating. They should be more stars so they could have more difference. And you'd think, given the comments, the Tracer would have come out on top. Don't know, maybe it's the value that gives it another star on the V-Strom. Anyway, again, all these things are subjective. And that's what I've learned over the years. All these things are subjective. It's interesting writing about them, hearing people like my opinion on bikes, but at the end of the day, it's your opinion that matters. These are only opinions. But yeah, an interesting test. At some point, I'll try and ride the new Suzuki and just see what the other changes are like on it. But there we go. So that was that one. And then last for this particular this particular paper, sorry. This is the new Superleggera V4 from Ducati, one of these exotic bikes. It's the top-notch Ducati V4 so far. They keep coming out with them, but this is likely to be very much the top-notch one. It's lighter than an MT-03, carbon fibre and titanium all over it. It's 159 kilograms in road spec and 152 kilograms in race spec, which is lighter than the MT-03, as I say. It looks amazing. It's an incredible bike, but it's 90 grand. Again, who is going to buy this bike? Somebody will do, and as a technology demonstrator, an amazing thing. But for 90 grand, you can get yourself a nice Range Rover. I know it's a different thing completely, but just comparing value, and again, to continue the Range Rover analogy, you know, a Range Rover is hardly low tech or you know, a low spec car. So that just seems like an awful lot. Even as a one-off glamour bike, poster bike, it still seems like an awful lot of money. But there we go. I'm glad it exists. So what am I whinging about? All right, so that was it for the second paper. Okay, penultimate paper then. First story from here. Speed Triple set for power hike. Very excited about this. I'm a big fan of the Speed Triple. Never owned one, but I do like the looks of it. And of course, the Speed Triple, again, it's a Triumph Triple, as the name implies. It's been around for a while. It always gets good reviews, but it's never the top of the heap as far as nakeds are concerned. It's always eclipsed a bit by the likes of the Super Duke R and bikes of that ilk. This is, I would say, is sort of second tier, along with things like MT10 maybe. Anyway, it looks like Triumph are about to give it an update, because there's been some spy shots here of the new bike, and it sounds like they're going for it this time. So let me read you some of the highlights here. Triumph are working on an updated Speed Triple that will host a brand new engine, bringing with it significant boost in firepower. At the heart of the new bike is a new motor, which, judging by the cases, appears to be a complete redesign rather than a tickle of an existing engine. That's good news. Capacity will be up from the 1050cc to around 1200, obviously to compete with the likes of the Super Duke R. Triumph will be aiming for around 175 brake horsepower. It's got a new low-slung exhaust, which looks pretty cool. Most interesting is the rear suspension, with the shock now directly mounted to the swing arm, presumably so they could ditch the linkage and make more space for the massive catalytic converter. Unfortunately, this is an issue with Euro 5. We can see a quick shifter as well as a brand new dash behind the restyled lights. Let's hope Triumph get the dash right this time. It looks to me on this spy shot like it is a TFT. I've got a bit of a thing about TFTs. Only the BMW one do I like. Again, I am a BMW fanboy, but on motorcycles, I just like dials. I know this is a modern bike, so maybe the TFT, it works, but why can't they render actual dials, proper looking dials on the TFT? You could then get rid of them when you want to use other functions like changing modes or maybe going to an inbuilt GPS. Wouldn't that be a great thing? Cars have been doing it for ages. My car does it. It doesn't have real dials, but when you turn the car on, it looks like it's got dials, and they you know, I love them as much as I would dials, but I also like the fact that the technology is there and can do other things if needs be. Anyway, I'm getting on a bit of a high horse about that one. We don't expect to see it until spring 2021, says MCN, but that's definitely a bike I'd be interested in riding. I love my Street Triple, which is the baby brother of this, but when this comes out, maybe that'll be the one to take the Street Triple from me. I don't know, but yeah, looking forward to having a crack on that one. What do you think to the new Speed Triple? Is it time they ditched it, or do you think an upgrade is overdue? Oh, quick thing I want to pull out here. There's a little, well, it's not an advert, it says here Bargain Hunter, and this is the Guardsman Garage security barrier, which you may have seen, well, you probably will have seen on my video, because I had one of these installed about 4 months ago, and I'm going to talk more about Image 4 Security, which is the company that makes these, at the end of the video when I do my Parish Notices, so stay tuned for that. But I wanted to mention this because I think it's a fantastic product. When I first saw this, when they came to me and showed me the product, I thought, why didn't I think of that? It's a great idea. Just a barrier that goes across your garage door, stops opportunist thieves pinching your bikes out. Great idea, and as I say, I'll talk more about that at the end. I also showed it in my recent security video. I'll put a link below and in the corner if I can for that. And if you do want one of these, there's a £50 off code there as well. TMF50 will get you 50 quid off a Guardsman. But as I say, I'll talk more about that at the end of the video. So if you're interested in that, stick around, stay tuned. Got some interesting news on that. Next, oh yeah, in passing again, BMW R1200RS. This is a bike that often gets overlooked. I don't know why. But it is a lovely, lovely machine. So I just mention it here to give it a little bit of air play, as it were. It's got a Boxer twin. Not everybody likes the Boxer. I'm not a big fan of how the Boxer looks, but I do like the grunt that it has, and I do like the way that it puts the centre of gravity and weight low down on a bike. If you want a road bike, you're not going to go off-road, and you quite fancy the idea of a GS, but you don't fancy the idea of a GS because of the stigma thing that we have here in the UK. Completely get that. The RS is definitely worth considering. In fact, I'd have an RS over an XR. I've just been riding an XR for the last couple of weeks. I took it back to BMW only last Friday. Lots of videos coming up on the XR, by the way. But you know, I think maybe a comparison between the RS and the XR is worth doing. There's no way the RS is as sporty, but I think it might be a more, for me, a more practical living with option. But I'll let you watch my XR videos and you'll see why I conclude that. Possibly, a bit of a spoiler alert there. All right, next thing here. Oh, another product that I'm familiar with that's MCN is showing, and in fact a few other vloggers I've seen showing this as well. This is the Litelok. It's an amazing bit of kit. I got one of these about 3 or 4 months ago before lockdown. I got sent one of these, and I've been using it pretty much whenever I go out now. What the beauty of this is, number one, it's really secure, or certainly at least as secure as a chain. I know people will start saying, you know, I've seen people that can break through these. What I'm talking about here is stopping about opportunist thieves. It's lightweight, you can easily carry it in your top box, and it seems really well built to me. I saw a video that Chopsy put up recently, and he tried to bribe his son to cut through it with some bolt croppers, and he gave him 5 minutes and he would get 20 quid if he couldn't get through it. Didn't even make a mark on it, pretty much. So brilliant, great fun video. Go and watch it if you haven't seen it, or indeed check out that security video I did, because I mentioned it in there. And again, the reason why I mention it is I can get you a 10% discount on these as well. So if you want a new lock that you can carry around with you, not one to go in the garage, for that I would recommend the heaviest, biggest lock you can possibly get your hands on. But if you want something that's practical to move around with and will stop the opportunist thief, then this Litelok I very much recommend. I've been using it, as I say, and it's a great bit of kit. 10% off, as I say, code below. I think in the description I can do that if you follow my link, and as I say, go and check it out on my video as well. And Chopsy's, it's hilarious. All right, next. Again, just the adverts at the end of this paper. Well, did I find something here? Somewhere I must have highlighted. Yeah, here we are. A BMW R9T. Again, when these came out a few years back, they were all the rage, weren't they? But we don't hear much about them now, but they're beautiful, beautiful bikes. I still think the original R9T is the best one, the sort of premium one. The sort of special models they brought out after that all were slightly lesser bikes, in my opinion. with maybe the exception of the Racer, which I don't think sold well because it's such an extreme riding position, but it was a lovely bike. Anyway, this R9T, it's here, it's a 2015, it's only got 2,500 miles on it, so the rider, or the owner, clearly hasn't ridden it much. 2,500 miles in 5 years. Worse than me. It's £7,450. That's a great bike for that sort of money, isn't it? £7,450 for a barely ridden R9T. Again, if I had £7,500 burning a hole in my pocket and room in the garage, I'd be very tempted by that one. Alrighty, we're nearly there. Stay with me. Coming up to the final paper, then getting bang up to date. Well, up to date-ish. This was last week's paper. First story I've picked up here, Guy back on track. My old mate, I've never met him, I've never spoken to him, but I'm a big fan. Guy Martin, he's been up at Elvington trying to beat the 300 mile per hour barrier on a two-wheeled motorcycle. Incredible. So he's built this bike himself pretty much, not sponsored by anybody, he's doing it off his own bat as far as I'm aware. It's based on a Hayabusa. Let me read you some of the highlights here. So he's striving to be the first person to break the 300 mile per hour in a standing mile on a motorcycle. He's gone faster than 270. In fact, he's done 275 according to the GPS apparently. The difficulty at Elvington, which is where he's doing this, is the wind. Apparently it's so big the wind can be blowing east at one end and west at the other. Nightmare. But Elvington is really the only place in the UK with room for a 0 to 300 mile run, and stopping is the real issue. Anyway, Guy's been using his turbocharged Hayabusa with an output of an incredible 830 brake horsepower. Blimey, that would make even lamb chops his eyes water, wouldn't it? 830 brake horsepower, incredible. Current record stands, this is the scary bit, at 296 miles per hour by an American Bill Warner. He set that in 2013. Unfortunately, understatement, he was killed on his subsequent attempt at 300 miles an hour. So you can see how dangerous this is. So best of luck to Guy for doing this. He's been chasing speed records for a while. I hope he gets this, and let's hope he stays safe, because that is nuts, isn't it? I mean, doing 100 mile on a bike is scary enough. Can you imagine doing 300? I can't, or I try not to imagine it because it'd be horrendous. How are we doing for battery? Looks all right. We should be able to get through this paper and my Parish Notices. Stay tuned for those. Okay, next. He says, getting a move on. Next new bike here, more spy shots, love these. New S1000R from BMW has been spotted. Radical redesign by the looks of it. At last, it's got a symmetrical front end. I did ride the old S1000R, lovely bike. In fact, if anything, it's a bit too perfect. But it had a bit of a squinty front end, which I never liked. They've gone symmetrical now at last. They've got away with that, so it does look better. Looks a brute. Anyway, it says here, BMW are testing a new version of the S1000R. The new S1000R is powered by the 999cc inline 4 from the S1000RR, so that's the same engine as in the XR that I've just been riding. The big question is whether it will have the new shift cam technology. We don't know. It's been an instant hit in the S1000RR, but it was left out of the new S1000XR. That's the shift cam bit we're talking about. So anyway, it's getting the new frame from the S1000RR and likely has the new suspension too. Full colour TFT likely from the S1000XR. I'm a fan of that TFT. Front calipers are now haze instead of Brembo. That's the same with a lot of BMWs now. And they're expecting to sit in dealers late spring 2021. So yeah, look forward to having a crack on this one. Crikey. So you've got a choice then, haven't you? If you want a 4-cylinder sporty bike, you can go for the naked S1000RR or the XR. I think at my age I would probably go for the XR because it's a bit more upright, but I guess the main difference is just the sort of styling and attitude, whether you want the more upright, tourer looking bike, or whether you want a sort of a naked brute, which this one is. And I imagine it will ride very similar to the XR, which is beautifully. Be interested to see what the handling's like with that new chassis as well. So again, fingers crossed come next year, probably back end of next year, I can get hold of one of them from my friends at BMW to have a crack on. Like the look of that. How will it compare to the Speed Triple, I wonder, the new one? Something to do a little comparison between perhaps. Alrighty. Taking a blade to a gunfight. Another absolutely brilliant headline. Well done, the boys at MCM, for coming up to this. So it's the Honda Fireblade, CBR1000R-R Fireblade SP. Try saying that drunk. The BMW S1000R-R M Package and the Ducati Panigale V4 S. I've ridden, in fact, I've ridden all these bikes in their basic form. I've ridden the V4 Panigale, not the current version, last year's one. I've ridden the BMW and I've ridden the basic Fireblade. All amazing bikes. For me, well, the V4R was incredible, beautiful bike, but I think the Beamer probably won in terms, for me, in terms of being able to live with a bike that's so performant. It handles beautifully. I want to try and get out, I really should get hold of another one of these if I can for a longer term review. I've only had one test ride from the local dealer. I should tap up my pals at BMW again and maybe get a long-term loan. See what it's like to live with the RR. Anyway, I won't go on about that. What was the verdict that MCN came up with? And this is from Michael Neves, my favourite road tester. He knows his sports bikes. So it says here, this is talking about the Fireblade. It's single-minded, tall gearing, peaky power and diminutive dimensions make it less of an all-rounder than the old model. The do-it-all BMW, which not only costs less, it lets you have your superbike cake and eat it. So Nevesy is saying go for the BMW if you want a bike that you can ride on the road. If you just want a track bike, I think the hint is then the Honda makes sense. But overall, get yourself the Beamer, he's saying. So just again on the star ratings, they've given the Honda, which is 23.5 grand, 3 stars. The BMW 5 stars, a big difference there, and the Ducati 4 stars. So yeah, definitely clear win for the Beamer there. And I wouldn't disagree with that way around as well, although I might give the Ducati 5 stars as well, but actually go for the Beamer. Anyway, if I was putting my own money into it. Okay, next story. Penultimate story. Ah yes, Golden Wonder. Now I've put this as a big article in here about 45 years of the Honda Goldwing. I mentioned this for a couple of reasons, and I want to get your view in the comments below. Are Honda Goldwings naff or not? Now, I always thought they were naff, particularly when I saw one once when I was in Scotland, I think it was, or it might have been Norway, when somebody had a trailer on one. I thought, what is going on there? If you want a trailer, then just get yourself a car. Anyway, so I thought, yeah, that's a bit naff. Then I got to ride the brand new, I think it was brand new in 2018, or it might have been 2017, the new current Honda Goldwing, and within 200 yards of being on it, I just thought this is the best motorcycle I've ever ridden, but they're 30 grand, so a lot of money. But it was a beautiful, beautiful bike. So beautiful, in fact, I went to Honda and said, can I get one of these for a long-term review? And next Monday, they're hopefully, fingers crossed, going to be delivering me one for a whole month. And I'm going to take Mrs. Flyer on the back and we're going to do a tour of Wales. Cannot wait. So I'm really looking forward to that. There'll be lots of videos on the new Honda Goldwing coming to my channel. I don't know if that's good news or bad. So I want to just test the water here. Do you think that's a rubbish idea or a good idea? I really want to give it a whirl. I mean, I haven't got a spare 30 grand, but it's, of all the bikes I know and have ridden, it's the only bike at the moment, I think, that would replace getting another GS if you want a tourer, two-up tourer type bike. But I'll see, once I've actually done two-up touring with it, I'll see how it fares and whether it's too big and heavy to live with or not. But again, like the GS, it keeps its weight low down. It's 6-cylinder, but it's all low down. It is sort of a boxer engine. It's horizontally opposed. So it might be easy to live with. I don't know. I'll find out. But anyway, the question for you is a Honda Goldwing naff or not? And that'll help steer my thoughts when I ride it next week. Okay, to the final point from the paper there, an MCN workshop here, and this is talking again about the garage barrier I mentioned earlier, the barrier from Image 4 Security, which is called the Guardsman. And here they're showing you how to actually fit it. And the reason why I mention it again is because I'm absolutely thrilled to say Image 4 Security, you may have noticed their logo at the front of this video, they've come on board and sponsored me now. Now I know that sounds, you'll be thinking, oh, they've sponsored him, that's why he keeps saying how good this barrier is. It's actually the other way around. I initially saw the barrier and I thought, what a brilliant idea that is. I got one fitted, I've had it for 3 or 4 months now, and it does absolutely what it should do as far as, you know, ease of use. It doesn't get in the way. I feel like the bikes are, again, slightly more protected from the opportunist thief. Of course, you could attach a tractor to it and pull the side of the wall down. There's always ways to get around these things, but as a general extra layer of security on the garage, I think it's a great thing. I did show it in that security video I did. These guys were very happy with what I said about it, and they said to me, you know, can we talk about sponsorship? So that's kind of how that worked. But I just wanted to let you know that that's what that new logo is on the front of the video, so that you know, if you wonder what's that going on there, that's Image 4 Security, the guys that make the garage door barrier, the Guardsman. They are now a sponsor of the channel, so thank you very much indeed to you guys for coming on board, and I implore their product to you, particularly if you've got multiple bikes. It's so much easier just to put that barrier on and use that than I'm lucky enough to have 6 bikes. If you have an anchor and a chain on each one of them, if you want the bike that's out the back of the garage, what a pain to undo all those chains and get it out. So for people like me, I know I'm jammy, first world problem and all that, but if you've got a lot of bikes, then that's a great solution. And yes, they do seem expensive, but I think the police recommend you spend something like 10% of the value of your bike. If you tot up the value of my 6 bikes, the 500 quid or whatever it is to put the Guardsman in is not 10% of the value. So anyway, I would argue reasonable value as well. Anyway, let's get on to those parish notices that I promised that I would give you this time. A few people have said on my last few bike news, what's happened to parish notices? And a few people have said, what happened to Paris notices, as in the capital of France? No. It's not Paris notices, it's parish. Here in the UK, you have different levels of local government, and the most granular level of local government is called your parish council. And sometimes in little villages around the country, there'll be a little notice board, usually by a village hall, that says parish notices, and on it, it'll tell you what time the local WI are doing this week's presentation at. So that's what parish notices is all about. It's stuff that's going on here on the channel. Okay, so I mentioned the new sponsor, Image4 Security. Don't forget the TMF 50 quid off the barrier if you want one of those. I also want to ask, don't forget to follow me on Instagram. It's something I've been trying to build up over the last year, and I was trying to get it above 10,000 subscribers. I'm chuffed to say I am now over 10,000 subscribers, but also to say I'm called @Missenden_Flyer on Instagram, not @the Missenden Flyer. That's another account I think that I probably set up but didn't know what I was doing, and it's failed. So don't follow me there. It's @Missenden Flyer. That's, of all the social media, that's the one that I probably post most on, because I find it easier just to take a picture, stick it on Instagram on my phone. So if you are into social media and stuff and Instagram savvy, follow me there. That would be great. Wanted to tell you what's coming up on the channel. A few things that I've got in the can. I've got a busy month ahead. Next Monday, you're going to see the first of my new series about my bikes, and the first one is on my Street RRR. Later in the month, you'll see the one on my GS, and basically I talk you all through what I love about that bike, why I've kept it for so long, the things I've done on it, how much it's cost me, all that kind of stuff. So hopefully that'll be of interest. They were recorded during lockdown because I could do them in my back garden without actually riding the bike new. So they may seem a little bit odd because of some of the things I talk about with regard to lockdown, which has now changed. But anyway, I still want to show you the video. So those are coming up. Got another kit corner coming up. You remember the summer jacket I wore in my Slovenia trip and when I went to Thailand? Brilliant jacket. Lots of people asked for a review on that, so that's coming. I've got more vloggage and dronage. Thanks for all the great comments I had on the video I put up when I just went out and about with my Speed Twin and put the drone up locally. I went and looked at where did I go? Missenden Manor, I think I showed you, and where else did I? What was it called? Missenden Manor? Can't remember. And I also showed you where the Hammer House of Horror films were made up at Hampden House as well with the drone. Really enjoyed making those, and I had such great comments of it. I thought I'd do some more, so I've done a couple more of those. Those are in the can and coming on. This time focusing on the River Thames. So can you guess where I went with my drone? So look out for those. Got the start of the S1000XR videos as well. I mentioned earlier that I had the S1000XR for the last couple of weeks. I've been maxing out on videos and riding that, so the first of those are coming up before the end of the month as well, and much more besides. So stay tuned for that lot. Wanted to mention my website, www.themissendenflyer.com. People always say, oh, where can you get this shirt, for example? This is one of my favourite type of shirts, polo neck t-shirt. This is available on the website. I've got some new products coming up soon. I've added some new products recently as well, including a neck buff, which doubles up as a Corona mouth guard thing as well, rather usefully. Just £8, so go and check those out. And also my base layer has been going very well as well, so that's on my website, themissendenflyer.com. Check that out if you haven't done already. And last but not least, I just want to say a huge thank you. I don't say this enough to my patrons and my channel members who basically make all this possible. It's down to you guys that I can keep making the Missenden Flyer, and not just them as well, but my sponsors, of course. I already mentioned I've got the new sponsor with Image4 Security, but I don't mention my other sponsors anywhere near enough, so I'm going to indulge now, if I may, and just mention them. So first off, Bennett's. What a great sponsor they are. It works for me because Bennett's are an insurance company here in the UK. The best motorcycle insurance company as far as I'm concerned. I insure all my bikes with Bennett's. They also run Bennett's Bike Social, which is a brilliant, proper journalist-run bike news resource. Go and check them out. They've got a YouTube channel as well if you haven't done so already. And the great thing for me being sponsored by Bennett's is not only, obviously, do they help fund the channel, but they also give me access to some things that I couldn't otherwise get access to. Things like, old bikes. I've got some stuff coming up with Bennett's soon, actually, which isn't it isn't pushing Bennett's as an insurance company. It's just great motorcycle stuff. So hopefully you agree it's a great sponsor to have. So thank you to Bennett's for continuing to support the channel. Toro Adventure, of course, I want to mention them. There's the guys at Linden & Co. You would have seen them on my channel in the past when I've done tours in Spain. GS outfit, off-road and on-road. In fact, hopefully, I'm going to be going to see them really soon. because they have now restarted business. So that's why I wanted to mention them. They've, through lockdown, of course, no one could travel. So effectively, if you're running an English-based tourist business in Spain, you had absolutely no business for the last 3 months. So those guys are now reopening because Spain has become reopened to us. They're not on any, you don't have to quarantine if you go there. Certainly the point that I'm making in this video, they don't. Well, what a difference a day makes. I filmed this bike news on the afternoon of Saturday the 25th of July, a little bit earlier than I would normally do it because I was due to be going off to Spain on Monday to visit Toro Adventure, and then literally within 3 hours of me making this video, the news came out that we are in fact here in the UK reintroducing quarantine rules and for travellers coming back from Spain, and in fact the Foreign and Commonwealth Office are now saying that there should be no travel to Spain from the UK or unless absolutely necessary. So unfortunately I've had to cancel my trip. I'm absolutely gutted. I was so looking forward to getting back out there, and my heart just goes out to the guys at Toro Adventure, to Lyndon and Adrian and Melania. They've got a fantastic business out there, and they've just been absolutely strangled this year because of this darned coronavirus situation. So best wishes to you guys. Sorry I'm not out there this week, and hopefully we can resort that out again as soon as possible. So much love to Toro Adventure and the guys. Thanks to Toro Adventure for sticking with me through lockdown, and be great to give them some love. Custom Fit Guards, of course, one of my longest sponsors who supply the earplugs that I use. Thanks to those guys. Canary Motorcycle Tours, again, same issue as Toro, had to go into lockdown, basically lose all their business because they're based, of course, in the Canary Islands. And also, they were due to launch their brand new offering in Slovenia this year, which basically got canned because of coronavirus. Having said that, it is now back on. Again, Slovenia is now open. I know that Martin and the guys have got the bikes over to Slovenia. They are up and running, are going to be running some tours. I know my mate Bruce is going over there soon. In fact, as we speak, he's there, I believe. So there'll be some videos on Bruce's channel about what it's like to ride in Slovenia. So go and check those out when they come out, and do give Canary Motorcycle Tours some love. They need it. And last but not least, I think one of my longest sponsors now, SPEEDO Angels. I very rarely mention them, but they're great sponsors to have, and a great product as well. Really cheap. These basically are screen protectors for your fancy dash. If you've got a TFT particularly, it's well worth getting these. They don't cost very much money. They make them for all sorts of bikes. Follow the links below to all my sponsors, in fact, but go and check out SPEEDO Angels. I would say if you've got something like one of the new BMW TFTs, if you get water and stuff on them, it really does spoil the finish of them. They're a right pain to clean. Get one of these screen protectors on there for about 20 quid, and it's just no problem at all. Also, you can convert your GPS glossy dash into a matte dash as well, or vice versa if you'd want to for some strange reason. So give SPEEDO Angels some love as well. All right, that was it for the Parish Notices. Thank you for letting me indulge in that. Hope you've enjoyed this month's bike news. There will be another one along again at the end of the month as usual. All right, ride safe, enjoy what's left of summer, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon. Until then, this has been the Mist and Fly. Cheerio. Hey kids, it's Mr. Fly here, hope you're well, and welcome back to, and let's just make sure that's plugged in properly. Hey kids, it's Mr. Fly here, hope you're well, and welcome back to July. Oh,